LOK, 2 missing juveniles. Abigail Joyce Williams.
It's getting scared now. It's getting cold.
Libby Rose Lynn German.
Missing, abducted, we don't know for sure.
Last seen at the High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana.
Delphi is just not one of those places where any of us ever thought that something like this would happen.
Despite that video, despite that audio, nothing happens, seemingly, for 6 years.
The judge did find probable cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it?
No. They got the wrong guy. There's no way.
There are other people who were looked at for this.
Shame on you!
It's some sort of a religious sect/cult
Shame on you, Richard!
that follow Odinism.
Shame on you, Richard Allen!
I believe they sacrificed a girl and killed another one.
And law enforcement insists no one's ever been cleared.
Baldwin, can you provide any comment?
Journalism. It's time for you guys to start being journalists.
My goodness, I have been working on this live all morning, and as soon as we get close to going live, it's like everything falls apart. Sorry. Hi, welcome to Case by Case. I'm Amy. Glad to be here on a random Monday afternoon. My little girl's here with me. I'm sure you guys could hear her barking in the background. How is everybody today? I wanted to take this afternoon to just squeeze in an extra live since I don't get to do them very often through the week. I've been doing a lot of work this weekend on research and adding to the presentation that I did the other night on the Delphi Vault. Between phone calls and messages, etc., it's been kind of a busy day. But I do want to share with Okay, let me go through and say hello to everybody. Why aren't you guys working? Struggers FC, hi Kathy, Donnie Pitbull, RC99, Woman Doing Chaos. Love to see you here. Deb, Michelle N. Hi Michelle N. I feel like we missed you the other night. Spicy Cappy, True Tammy, Purple Amaryllis, 7 p.m. there in the UK. Welcome, Purple Amaryllis. I love the name. Hi, Jamie. Speaking of time differences, so again, I'm going to throw it out there, and you have to excuse me. I'm pacifying this little munchkin right here because if I don't, she's going to bark. This is supposed to be Mommy and Breezy Lane time. Yeah, UK's in the building. So speaking of time differences, Dr. Silkman is from Australia, and he will be joining us here on Saturday at 8 p.m. He has a very, very nice presentation prepared, and we might even surprise you with one new special guest. If not, it's okay. But Saturday here on Case by Case, it's going down. Dr. Silkman is a fabulous instructor. He's a great professor. He teaches at the University of Adelaide over there in Australia. And he's got about 25 years of experience being a lab tech in a DNA lab. He has his PhD in molecular biochemistry, I think it is. He has too many educational background things to recount, basically. So he's going to be here Saturday at 8 p.m., which will be like 9. I think it's going to be like 9 a.m. his time because he's technically in the future. And if we can get a couple of other people to come on that I have spoken to, it's going to be a phenomenal show. And one of the things that I'm going to do leading up to Saturday's show, to keep Saturday's show moving smoothly, hop down. Okay, she won't get off my lap. Sorry. The one thing that I'm going to do prior to Saturday is I'm going to post on the community page the opportunity for your questions to be asked. And then I'm going to filter through, because you have to understand that these people are coming from all sides of the earth to be here and discuss this case. And I want to get as many questions answered as I can. So we're not really going to be answering questions from the chat, if that makes sense. I'm going to pull them in advance and have an itemized list of questions that I can prepare prior to the live Saturday, and then I will present those on air and let Dr. Silkman answer them. So I hope you guys aren't offended by that, but I feel like that's the easiest way to get through it. That's the way that everything can run smoothly. And DNA is such a complex topic, and Dr. Silkman, he's been on the channel before. He came in and he did kind of an analysis on Ashley Garth's case with the DNA there. Dr. Silkman is also the founder of Foul Play, which is the organization that supports Kathleen Zellner in her efforts in the post-conviction relief for Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey, aka Making a Murderer on Netflix. So Dr. Silkman is a founding member of that panel, and that is where I became engaged with Cherie, which you guys all know, who's my little cohort here on the channel. Also, Travis Williams, Dr. Silkman, Jack. There's a lot of them that we've all been kind of intertwined over the years. And so Dr. Silkman is very excited to come on. And I hope you guys will all understand that if we don't do live question and answers, it's not because we don't want to. It's because by the time he gets to his presentation, which is going to be about, I think, 20 to 23 slides, we're going to be late in the evening. And we're not starting until 8, which is like 9 or 9:30 his time in the morning on Sunday. So just want to explain that in advance. And if we get the other guests to come on, it's going to be look, you have to make a decision, because Mom can't do both. I can't pet, I can't do kisses, and I can't do all that. So anywho, one of the things that I did want to bring up though about Dr. Silkman's discussion this Saturday is going to be the rape kits. And one of the questions that my question to him as he was putting together his presentation was, how do we have 2 very young victims who had rape kits performed on them, and both of them there is a trace of seminal fluid but no DNA? And I believe that Dr. Silkman is going to get into the aspects of what DNA or what seminal fluid is without DNA, and all of the facets that kind of like fall into that category, as far as, vasectomies, hereditary biological issues, things like that. There's a list that we're going to kind of go over, which will explain why there might be seminal fluid present but not DNA. But there's an explanation for it. But my question to him was, how do we have 2 young girls with seminal fluid with no DNA? Does that mean, what are the likelihoods they've shared a sexual partner? And he said it is very unlikely how that could have been obtained in both girls and there not be any DNA. So we're going to get into that, and I'm not saying that he's going to provide you the answers. He's going to make it very clear. Dr. Silkman is not an expert on DNA in this case. I don't think anyone can claim that they're an expert in this case on anything except for who the state put on, and he's going to take all of the testing, his experience, and he's going to provide an interpretation and a forensic analysis. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you guys will all be here for that. And I just want to say that today, because it's a Monday afternoon and this was a surprise live, I'm going to do things a little different than normal. I'm going to engage with the chat a lot more and answer some questions. Let me see. And I wanted to share a couple funnies with you guys too, by the way. I got to first of all, I want to say I love all of you participating on this channel. I really do. There's so many of you who are emailing me or messaging me on Facebook with Okay, did you guys see me hit her? I didn't hit her. I'm trying to put her down, and that was her reaction to me. Will you say hi? Just say hi. That was her reaction to me putting her down. Get down. Go. You have to go. You have to go. That was dramatic. She squealed because she didn't want me to put her down. Anyway, so I just want to say that everybody who's participating in the channel and messaging and emailing, my goodness, you guys are amazing. But I did want to share a couple of things that I got this weekend. One was, obviously, my mic sucks. Is my mic sucking today? I've gotten that a couple of times. Either my mic is sucking or my co-host's mics are sucking. I need to know, because this is a new mic. This right here is my new mic, and I've gone to great lengths to make it work. And then I don't know how to fix my co-host's sound. So there was that. And then I also got a message that their exact words were, I don't know if I can subscribe to your channel because I don't know anything about you. Okay. What do you want to know? I don't know. What is it? Is there anybody in the chat? Is there anything that you want to know that I haven't divulged? Because what does WRF mean? What the fuck? Weird. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what you want to know. I have a Yorkie. I like true crime. No, I mean, they were very nice about it. They really were. But I was I don't know how to answer it. Like, okay, well, don't subscribe. I'm not, I don't know what they want. So anyway, if there's anything that you want to know that is not like, here's my address and my phone number and my day-to-day walk out my door schedule, anything else I can probably tell you. So when is the live going to be for Dr. Silkman? It's going to be this Saturday at 8 p.m. right here. Am I taller or shorter than BG? I'm shorter. I'm barely, I think, 5'1". Yeah. I'm an animal lover. For you guys who don't know, I'm an animal lover. I have a Yorkie. I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, let me go this way. Maybe you guys can see behind me on the easel back there, I have a picture of 3 golden retrievers. And I've lost 2 of them due to natural causes and old age. And I only have one of them left. And he's the biggest baby in the world. He's about 15 years old. And I just live a regular life. And this is my hobby. True crime, law. I went to court. I went to school for court reporting. I work for the police department here. It's all in the same category. So that's kind of who I am. Deb is asking, why is Erica upset about the list of searchers being posted on your Facebook page? Hasn't it been going around for a while? Didn't really know that she was upset about it. I don't know. I know that about 6-7 years ago, that list was put out there and it circulated, and no one ever, I'm really surprised that by this point, no one has taken the time to actually dissect it and make an actual Excel spreadsheet of all the names on there. So I didn't know that she was upset, so I can't even tell you why she would be upset. Yeah, Sunday for you Aussies. Yep. 8 p.m. here for the U.S. citizens, and Sunday for you Aussies. Early morning. Oh, thank you, Duncan Philanose. Thank you for that. He says, Duncan says, I like that. All I need to know is that you're digging into this case and avoiding logical fallacies. You have all my favorite people on panel. I appreciate everything you do. Thank you so much. I try. I really do try. Thank you, Topher. Yeah, the lists have been out. And yes, I am digging into this case, and that's why I'm here today. I'm usually off on Mondays, just so you guys know, and normally I use it as a day of, taking a breath. I work 40 hours a week, and then on my weekends, here in the past couple of months, I've had this channel for a little over, I think, 2 years, covering Ashley's case. But I've been around in the Delphi case for 8 years, since the beginning. But I've always remained quiet. I am not an expert on this case. I know the majority of the ins and outs, but the more and more I go back through, I have a great group of people behind me who are bringing old things to the forefront. So I just feel like it's very important that we go back to the beginning. And I said that on my very first live when I started covering Delphi. I was very apprehensive about covering Delphi because, number one, I didn't want to step on anyone's toes, because I have a emotional bond and duty to Ashley Garst's family, because I've worked on her case. And for those of you who don't know, there is a friendship bond between her family and Anna Williams, which puts me in a very precarious place. I have met Anna Williams in person. I have the utmost respect for her. And I was very apprehensive of, dipping my toe in the water on this case. But I am more of let me just put it out there. I'm a liberal, bottom line. I'm a liberal. Equal rights for everybody. Everyone's voice needs to be heard. Everyone's position in this world needs to be respected, whether you agree with it or not. That's what our founding fathers fought for, and those are just my beliefs. if you don't agree with me, that's okay. I mean, that's totally okay. You're not my enemy. I don't hate you. But your beliefs will not stop me from voicing mine. And that's the greatest thing about this country is freedom of speech. And when I look at what this country stands for in the world and what we represent in the world as far as justice and rights, the civil rights that this country has shed blood for, in the cases that my personality, my character, I am just, my nature is to reach out and help someone in need. My nature is to provide assistance to those who can't help themselves. And I love the law. I love the historic value of the law and how it's came about and how it's been written and it's evolved and it's changed. All of those things to me are important. So when I see that our judicial system has become evasive, we're very proactive in going into a trial and everyone's constitutional rights being upheld, all of the legal procedures being followed. But once someone is convicted, that is all gone. And yeah, Topher says, I'm a conservative and I believe the same thing. Yeah, you know what? That is real. That is real life. If you're a conservative and I'm a liberal and we believe in the same thing, how in the hell are we where we are? So frustrating. So anyway, before I just jump right into all of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today, I just wanted to chat. I just wanted to chat, and I wanted to say that we all, are here for different reasons, but at the end of the day, we might find that we're all here for the same reason. And I am terrified, absolutely terrified for what Richard Allen faces if he's innocent. And I say innocent. And the fact of the matter is, the word if is that tiny word with that massive meaning. And there should be no if. If is reasonable doubt. If is a hung jury. There should be no if Richard Allen is guilty. And in my opinion, there's a very massive if in this case. And my purpose of going back and reviewing everything that I can dig up from the graveyards of all of the discussions, the community, the talks, and lay it all out there for everyone. That's what I'm going to do because we have downtime right now. Hopefully we have appellate attorneys hard at work. We have a lot of things going on behind the scenes. There's something going on in the forefront. We have a lot of new people coming in to the case. And I just want to contribute. I want to contribute to the answers. Nothing that I say here on my channel when it comes to the things that I am presenting do I claim to be 100% fact. What I'm claiming is here are the things that have been presented over the course of 8 years that everybody has digested, swallowed, and indulged, and then regurgitated, and we've never been given an answer or diagnosis to any of the things that has been put out there. So let me get off my soapbox. Let's get down to it. I'm going to hit the chat here real quick. I'm going to take myself off camera. I really, this will probably be one of the only times I ever discuss even politics on this channel, because it's just a very bad, it's a very bad avenue. I am a person who supports other people, especially women. I'm a person who believes that everybody has the right to have their voice heard. The children that I've raised are biracial. They grew up in an environment they were in contact nonstop with the LGBTQ community. It's something that was very accepted in our family. And I support that facet of our country. And I feel like that's what America stands for. America stands for rights. We stand for everyone being treated equal. And I don't know how we got here. And it's upsetting to me, but being a fellow American, I love you anyway. But that's when I say I'm a liberal, that's where I'm coming from. So thank you, Duncan. If possible, ask your DNA specialist how they can confirm. Okay, so Jamie, I'm going to post a questionnaire on my community page, and everyone will get to post their questions. And me and my staff will spend a couple of days going through it. And I promise you, we will get as many questions answered as we possibly can, and make sure that not the same question is asked twice. Sleuth investigates. He wants to know why a toxicology report wasn't presented at trial. I have to go back and look, but if I remember correctly, I believe that it was, but I do believe that a toxicology report was done. The blood was drawn. I can't commit to anything else besides that. Teresa! No, that's not true, Teresa. Okay, I'm going to... Thank you, Michelle Ann. And thank you, Skeptic Curiosity. Okay, are you guys ready to get into this today? Jeez, oh Pete. Yeah, I don't think there was anything found in the toxicology report. Oh, wait a minute. I thought I pulled this in. So, as you guys know, can you guys put a 1 in the chat if you were here for the first Delphi Vault series? Okay, good. So I'm pulling in my presentation right now. Hold on, I'm waiting for my presentation to download. It's about 80 pages so far. I'm trying to get ahead of the game. Oh, everybody was here. Wow. That's awesome. So I'm really trying hard not to like jump around. But it's oh my Lord, it's so hard to do in this case, because I no more get one section completed and then information comes in that is pre the section that I got done. So I'm doing my best. So it might take us 2 or 3 episodes to get past February 12th and 13th. But I've always said that I feel like in this case, the answers are going to lie during that first part of the investigation. So I'm just going to briefly recap. So I'm going to be off screen for a minute, so I'm not going to be able to see your comments in the chat. Rebecca M. I'm working on 4 pits. I would love to have 4 pits on. Good Lord. He's in the chat a lot, but he's not come on yet. So let me just recap. We went through, in the very first episode of the Delphi Vault, we went through the police scanner and everyone discussing what the police scanner was reporting that Abby and Libby were wearing. We went through that. We went through some of the statements that were made by the family. And the main purpose of that was to get into why the community and everyone who started to follow the case felt there were weird vibes. Things weren't adding up. So we went through all of that and we discussed this photo right here. Why were there strange vibes? It seems kind of a very odd, intimate photo. And it was kind of I would say a 60-40 split in the chat on what this photo depicted. If you guys want to know more, you'll have to go back and watch the first episode. Then we got into Andrea Burkhart's details from the DNA expert at trial, where she discussed Kelsey's hair being wrapped around the finger in the right hand of Abby. We discussed a little bit of the timeline from Anna Williams, where she is posting on Facebook at 3:49 that the girls were missing. And yet originally, right after the girls were found, when we start going over the timeline, it's that law enforcement wasn't even contacted until 5. And people tended to believe that Anna wasn't contacted until much later. However, we can see by her post here on Facebook at 3:49 on February 13th, she was contacted. She knew. Then we got into a little bit of the conversations about Derek German and when the girls made the phone call for him to pick them up at the bridge or at the trails. The girls were supposed to make the phone call before they left the house to make sure they had a ride home. Then we found out that that wasn't the case. Supposedly the girls made the phone call on the way to the bridge. And then another family member reported, which was Lisa Patty, that the phone call was made around 2:30 to pick them up. Well, if you believe the state's narrative, the girls were already deceased by 2:32. So these are all of the things that when you put them all together, bring up all of these questions. We talked about, did Kelsey lie? Was she cleaning out a truck? Did she go to work? Because Becky said that she called her at work and she had to leave work. Kelsey claims she called into work and she didn't go to work. Was Kelsey out there at the search? Because Becky made statements that Kelsey didn't want to be a part of the search. Was Cody there? Was he crossing the bridge with Kelsey? Or was he at work? Or was he out of town? There's all different accounts. And then you have the information about the Anthony Schatz account coming out and who contacted the Anthony Schatz account, which was supposed to be Kelsey. Yet when you listen to Keegan Klein's interview with Detective Vito, he claims he had blocked Libby from his account back in December because she was annoying. Later down the road, we're going to get into these inconsistent statements about where Cody Patty was and who was where when Derek German claimed he couldn't get a hold of the girls. So these were all of the things that I pretty much went over the other night. Just to recap. So up to that point, do we have any questions? Okay, so yes, I was recapping what we've gone through. And we finished up, if you guys remember, we discussed Taya Miller, who was the individual who was out searching, who claimed to have reported hearing screams. We discussed her conversations. We discussed the vehicles. What I tried to do in the first episode is discuss all of the different facets that everyone was looking at that made this case from the onset become so compelling. Everybody wanted, there were so many unanswered tentacles, and everyone started to get involved. So I tried to touch base on all of those. We talked about the box truck that was caught on the Packers video. And then we ended with the very first episode of the gentleman that was photographed down at Riley Park. And we all kind of agreed that this was a red herring. The Riley Park is about a mile away from the Monon High Bridge and the trails. And how these photographs became inserted into the investigation or inserted into the narrative of who could be involved. So we discussed that, and that's where we left it last week. Then we got into some of the statements about Mike Patty. Now, this is where we're going to start afresh this week in part 2. The live's been going on for about 40 minutes. So, are you all familiar with the Tina Rodell story? Put a 1 in the chat if you are. So this story, the Tina Rodell version of events and scenario, actually begins on February 12th, which is the day before the girls went out to walk the trails and went missing on the bridge. Tina Rodell is over here in the bottom right-hand corner. Her daughter is up here in the left-hand corner. That is Megan Allen. Tina Rodell is Megan Allen's mother. Keegan Callis, who is over here in the bottom left-hand corner, is, at that reported time, he was dating Megan Allen. So, according to Tina Rodell, Tina alleges that on the morning of February 13th, now, this is what's interesting, is how all of this is documented, because it was not February 13th as these text messages depict. It was actually the 12th. A few men in a car showed up in her driveway to pick up her daughter, Megan Allen. The car was described as being white, possibly an Accord, with temporary paper plates. The group was on the way to the Monon High Bridge area. She had a bad feeling about the situation, so she took photos of the car and wrote down the license plate. She was later told that the plates were stolen. So wherever this screenshot came from, the date is wrong, because this photograph of the white vehicle with the license plate written down is actually from the 12th. And it's not a white Accord. It ultimately becomes a white Dodge Dart. Tina claims that she believed there were drugs in the trunk of the car. She then called Sheriff Lesenby to tip him off about the drugs. Tina said the men with her daughter were Elijah Cook, Keegan Callis, Josh Weaver, Tyler Joe French, and possibly Travis Janicki, however you pronounce that. So that's the initial onset of this story from the very beginning. So if you were to put a timeline together and discuss this, and you're going to see how whoever this post here in the middle of this presentation puts February 13th, you're going to see that that date is wrong. It was actually February 12th, which is the day before. The facts of these statements are, number one, Tyler Joe French, who is listed in this statement, his stepfather lives right near the bridge. That is a fact. And if you believe that Tina Rodell called Lesenby to report this incident, there would be a report of this phone call coming in on the 12th. So in her list, remember, in her list, she names the following: Elijah Cook, Keegan Callis, Tyler Joe French, Josh Weaver, and Travis Janicki. They're all supposedly heading out to the Monon High Bridge. Here are photographs. At the very top is an onslaught of photographs of Tyler Joe French. Several different arrests, several different images of him. Bottom right-hand corner is Keegan Callis, who, we go back, Keegan Callis was dating Megan Allen, which was Tina Rodell's daughter. Over here on the left-hand corner is Travis Janicki. They were all supposed to be in the white Dodge Dart heading out to the Monon High Bridge with Megan Allen. As we go on, you're going to find out that Garrett Kurtz was also named as being a part of this group. So I'm going to check in with the chat. Yes, Tyler Joe French and Gabe Ellis ran together. Guys, give me time. I want to go over all of this information thoroughly. So I'm going to pull it all together, but we have to go through it in isolated segments just to make it make sense. I can't do a 15-hour live. There's just no way. So Garrett Kurtz, who I feel I have a lot of information about, He was also named as possibly being involved in this group. He, at this time in February, on February 13th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, was intimately involved with Michaela Hartman, aka Michaela Babcock. So a lot of people believe that up here in the center, where you see the young bridge guy sketch, that it was possibly created and matches Garrett Kurtz, which we have two images, from 1 month before and the other one from after the sketch was made. But if you go back here to Tyler French and Keegan Callis, or even Travis Janicki, you know, is there a huge difference? I don't know. All I know is that Betsy Blair, who saw Bridge Guy standing on platform 1 on the bridge, said the man was young and described him as being a 10, as in good looking. So we have all of these possibilities, or all of these possibilities can come off the table. Going to check the chat. So when we get into the context of Michaela Babcock, one of her statements says, I loved Garrett and would have taken his side over anyone in this world, but he has murdered. And I honestly don't want to believe he brutally murdered my little cousin either, but it sure is awfully close, with the voice, the new sketch, and meth, with fuck a person's life up. So Garrett Kurtz is currently serving 110 years for 2 separate murders. He claimed to have intimate knowledge of the Delphi murders, and he consistently pointed the finger at other people. Michaela Hartman, aka Babcock, was related to Libby German. So continuing on in this thread, it says, I bet he did kill the Delphi girls. He's a bitch. Garrett Kurtz will eat a D in prison. Piece of shit. Below the photographs, the text messages say, what do you think happened to drive him to kill someone? Babcock replies, I really don't know. I was in complete shock and denial when I heard about it, but I do know he got into drugs pretty bad the past 5 years or so, I would say, and that would be the only thing I can think that would make him do it. Do you think he could be responsible for the deaths of Abby and Libby? I can't read the first sentence, but the very beginning and the reasoning I say it was him is the voice of Down the Hill. And he knew Ron Logan and his dad and horse trading and writing that him and his dad would do for Ron back when Garrett was younger. I would say 14, 15 years old. He would ride Ron's horses all over Ron's property and could possibly know every escape route and every way into the bridge with very little noticeability. The next text thread up here is between Kyle Smith and Michaela Babcock, where they're talking about leads. And Kyle Smith posts, didn't find any leads, no evidence so far. They called off the search for tonight. Spent about 2.5 hours with Delphi police and fire looking and searching the High Bridge area. Continued search in the morning and all day as far as I'm concerned. Another commenter posted, what time are they resuming the search tomorrow? Michaela Babcock, at daybreak. I asked Kelsey German to let me know. Kelsey German, all they said was daybreak. I promise I'll be out as soon as the sun comes up. Kyle Smith says, I'll be out as soon as I get out of court. Thoughts or comments on that? Anybody have any questions or comments on that segment that we just went through? No? Okay, I'll keep going. Now remember, these are all the conversations that are taking place online in public view right around the time the girls went missing. I'm only presenting all of this for everyone to have a clear view of the scenario, the impressions, the concept that everybody was looking at back then. I'm not taking a position, I'm just posting it. So, right as the girls, we're going to get into the Tina Rodell scenario, and I know this has been covered before on other channels, but not everybody follows every channel. So I'm going to cover it, and we're going to discuss it. So Tina Rodell, the mother of Megan Allen, who claimed that her daughter was picked up by Tyler Joe French, Keegan Callis, Travis Janicki, and Josh Weaver, and they were headed to the Monon High Bridge. She claimed she made a phone call to Tobe Lesenby, and he didn't act on the phone call. These are her accounts. These next few slides are going to be all her accounts of what she thought transpired, what she was told transpired, etc., etc., etc. Tina Rodell. Whoa, good stuff here. Now she's talking about Garrett Kurtz. Garrett's phone was told to him by law enforcement that he got picked up in the geofence near the Monon High Bridge on the 13th. Keegan doesn't deny being there, and that would be Keegan Callis, not Keegan Klein. Let me make that very clear. Keegan Callis, who was dating Megan Allen, not Keegan Klein. Keegan doesn't deny being there. Add rest of the above from the friend group. Use JW, Josh Weaver, from same circle of friends between 2 and 6 a.m. Infinitely better to explain crime scene than states. I always liked Cousin M. Now, what they're referring to here is not Megan Allen. Cousin M would be Libby's cousin, Michaela Babcock. I always liked Cousin M telling Garrett the kids' plans to visit trails. It was such a simple thing to do. He was sleeping with her, and she was in daily contact with Libby. So, the one thing that I would like to know, the one thing that I feel that the state and the defense team has, is the actual data from Libby's phone. Where were there communications between Libby and Michaela Babcock, her cousin, about her plans and where she was going? So that explains my insert here where it says, what does Libby's phone data show about her last communication with cousin Michaela? Tina continues on, and she says she believed that there were drugs in the trunk of the car. She called Sheriff Lesenby to tip him off about the drugs. Tina said the men with her daughter, Elijah Cook, Keegan Callis, Josh Weaver, Tyler Joe French, and possibly Travis Shaneke, her son, BH, was not part of the group. Tina said her daughter called her from the bridge on the 13th, and that when Megan Allen, came home on the 15th, she was not in good condition. She alleges that her daughter was raped and beaten by the men as an initiation. It's rumored it was for the Sons of Odin group. She has also claimed that her daughter came home with a pair of earrings in her pocket that have since been turned over to the FBI. That's not quite true that they were turned over to the FBI, but she did come home with a pair of earrings. I'm going to go through chat. Okay, I'm going to keep going. V says, wasn't Michaela talking to Anthony Schott's account at the same time also when Libby had been at her house the previous weekend? I'm not sure. Do we know if this, okay, John Weaver, do we know if John Weaver and Josh Weaver are related? I'm going to keep going. Now, and I just want to remind everybody that these messages are not all in a chronological order. I've tried to put them in chronological order, but I have to take them how I get them. So I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to keep going. So the next group of messages that we have is where Tina's discussing her sister. Her sister is Christy Ann Martin, who was arrested with Derek German. Tina says, my sister dealt with him. Ron Logan, not clear. I'm assuming she meant either. It's not spelled right, but Ron Logan, not clear either, however you want to say it. He has drugs brought in, candles from Mexico. That's the junk he got rid of at the dump. There are 3 drug dogs down there. I don't know what this word is. Even Combs moved to Greentown. That Tyler's stepdad. He not a good fella, but wants no shit from me, and I want no shit from him. Combs, FYI, Combs is Tyler French's stepdad who lived near the bridge. Combs had video, but not show cops the day before video that they were there. Bump over to the next thread. And KTM, I don't know who KTM is, guys. And KTM, sell to police. So did my sister. And a friend who is still trapped. Trapped, he not want to sell anymore. He even knows when the glass is in the heroin. I know way too much. Just too much. Megan is my daughter. The other Meg. She was there. Called me. Could not find the guys. Then it says, almost positive he was driving. And she's talking about Josh Weaver. Josh Weaver, in this image, I believe, is the person that she claims is standing behind the white Dodge Dart in the previous, let me see, right there. Or did I not capture it? The guy leaning over and getting into the trunk on the far right-hand side. I believe that she's claiming that that is Josh Weaver. Okay, so this is where we are. So Tina Rodell is claiming that Josh Weaver was driving the white Dodge Dart. This is Joshua Scott Weaver. Tina Rodell says, almost positive he was driving. Yes, my daughter Megan T. Rodell Allen, but Meg could not find the guys for hours. I have her phone calls and missed call when she wanted me to go get her. They were at Combs' place. Combs' place would have been Tyler Joe French's stepdad's house, which is right by the bridge. And it's reported that there is trail cam footage of all of these people being on that property at Combs's property. Shortly after the murders, he moved to Greentown after that. Someone comments, Combs, ? Yes. They together, Tyler gave her to him. Yes, Combs. Tyler French's stepdad. He wears pretty masks too. That's a whole nother episode, getting into Combs's masks. There's a whole lot of photographs of people in this circle wearing weird, spooky, psycho-looking masks. We'll get into that later. But Tina follows up with their group, dangerous, so be careful. The response was, you said your sister is Christy Martin, and she is Abby's godmother. So Christy Lynn Martin, who was arrested with Derek German on a meth deal, and I'm not going to pretend to know what happened with that case, but I do know that Derek pretty much got off. Christy served years, and Christy Lynn Martin was supposed to be Libby German's godmother. So Tina Rodell, who is Christy Lynn Martin's sister, says was, and she, as in Christy Lynn Martin, is in Indiana DOC now, out from Ohio. Try to write her. My letters get stopped, so do hers. Someone says, poor kid. She's got knowledge we all need. And then if you bump over here to the middle, these are two mugshots of Christy Lynn Martin, who was originally arrested with Derek German and then got out, and then a short period of time later was arrested again in Ohio. over here on the right-hand side, it says, she's got knowledge we all need. I looked at her Facebook page, and so many people I have thought were persons of interest are on her page. Tina replies, Christy or Meg. My sis, oh yeah, she's a pretty big deal. She's pretty big. I'm either big drug lord or she's pretty big with the drug lords. I don't know what she means by that, but she pretty big D-lords. Yes, Christie's, but your daughter too. I am sorry. And then she goes on to talk about John. It says Rankin, but I think she means Reagan. Tina is being asked, so you got away from all of that crowd or were never involved to begin with? No, Christy married Snapper. He had nothing to do with her stupid greed. Who is the German you mentioned to me? Was it Derek you were talking about? You said they were all nasty though. Never involved, I knew better. Also seen through elders. I know Combs calls dad through acquaintance. I have no idea what that means. Bad news, but always held biker code. Stay safe, bad spots, right times have pulled some wonders from the babies. Besides Derek, do you think there were any other Germans that were corrupt or could have done this? I don't know where the middle piece of this link is. And I don't know what her answer to that question was, other than, okay, besides Derek. Oh, the answer is, I hate a trashed out mama. Derek was busted with Dustin. She's talking about Dustin Prater. They worked for my sis. Derek ratted out on some peeps. And then they responded, no wonder you have raised so many babies. Those mamas needed you to do what they could not. Any questions about any of that? Any questions about that, guys? Streets, I just sent you the link. Sorry, I had my screen expanded, so I couldn't see the chat. Duncan says no. Sounds like they traumatized a bunch of kids and now they have no coping skills. Right? So, I mean, my thing is like, how believable do we believe Tina Rodell is? Hey, girl.
Hello. I'm at work, so I'm on call, technically. I might have to leave in a hurry.
Okay.
But I doubt it. There's like 12 guys here. Hopefully they can stay safe. For like
so, I want to know what everyone's thoughts are on Tina Rodell, because this whole scenario has been kicked around for years, and I know that some people think this links back to a whole meth lab that was built in the woods back there, and the girls happened upon it. I'm not so sure about that. Because I mean, I kind of feel like this was something far more premeditated and not something that they happened upon. That, I mean, Wilson Bridge is a far way for them to walk just to happen upon some sort of a meth ring. But the fact that Tina Rodell has all of this information, and what I'm waiting on, and for those of you who are in chat who've never seen it, I have ordered Gabe Ellis's the actual arrest report, because I know that we have an itemized list of all of the things that were found in his vehicle, like trail cams and night vision, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not quite sure where that list of inventory has come from. So I've ordered the arrest report, and it should have all the information on there. And I would really like to confirm and solidify that the white Dodge Dart that Tina seen in her driveway and wrote down the license plate number is the same white expired tag that Gabe Ellis had on his car when he was arrested.
I've heard that for a long time, but I've never. Ah! Hello. Are you good? Fuck, that scared the crap out of me. I forgot what I was saying. What was it? Sorry, someone opened my office door. I've heard that for a long time, but I've never seen anything to prove it.
About what? The meth lab, or just
the paper plate belonging to that one car also belonging to Gabe Ellis? I don't know where that came from, but it's been a persistent rumor for a while.
Yeah. And I mean, the only way to put it to bed is to get the actual report, which I cannot believe no one has ever done yet. And after going back through all of this, I'm like, where's the actual arrest report? Because
Four Kids keep saying Christy. I mean, she has to have something. She's the connection, honestly.
Well, I mean, when you read Tina Rodell's words, that Christy has the information. I believe what she's talking about is the fact that Christy knows the ins and outs of who her and Derek were dealing with. And when the bus went down, and I mean, from the way that I read the reports and the my case record and the news media record, is that Derek and Christy were initially arrested together, and they both got out. And Christy went on about her business, doing what she does, and was facing the same charges that Derek was. However, someone cut a deal and someone didn't. And Christy has the information as far as who would have been pissed at Derek German for speaking.
I think that, I don't know if he... I think that he gave, like, from what I remember reading, was that Derek gave the route that she takes to Ohio in that box truck for whatever meth pickup she was doing. I think that his information was like when, where, and how, because she got arrested the next trip up. I think.
Hey, Streets, take over for just 1 second. Let me let Breeze outside.
I can do that. I don't know if they were busted together. The bust that Christy Martin was in the Carroll County Jury listed someone else as the co-defendant. So I don't think she got busted with Derek, but I think Derek gave the instructions on what she was doing, the meth route that she was taking, how she was doing it, and she got busted on that pickup. Yeah, she ended up in Ohio. I think the route and what time she was doing everything was what was important. Yeah, and they even admit it in the Carroll Counter Courier. Like, she was here, she was on a case, and then she took off to Ohio, and they busted her up there. So I don't know exactly where Derek fits into that, but I've heard it's from the route, like giving the route, the box truck numbers, everything, giving all the details of how to bust her exactly. But I'm not sure.
No, I think that you're right. And Breeze had me go all the way downstairs, and then she refused to go outside because it's raining. It's raining. She looked at me like, are you stupid?
Yeah, we have to have a heated porch in order for my dog to go out to pee. We live in the desert. We don't even have snow.
4 pits. Yeah, I think Ohio is where Christy got busted the hardest. And, you know, here's like with this case, and like I've said, everything I feel like needs to go back to the beginning. I would love to speak with Tina Rodell because I truly believe that Tina Rodell wanted to do the right thing when this all transpired.
I think that she's scared though at this point.
Yeah, she's terrified. I can tell you that because
her own daughter, Megan Allen, I don't remember exactly what was said, but she was pissed that.
Well, this put a lot of people in a precarious situation, and you know, what I want to dissect is all of these people that we have a documented account of being out there the night before on the 12th, the day of the 13th, and no one saw anything. How is this possible? And I'm sorry, but in a crime, the more people involved, the less likely secrets are kept.
Yeah.
And so how much time do we spend on these storylines, and what pieces of these become insignificant to the point where the pieces that we feel are significant can be disregarded? Because there's so much in this case, and I really meant to do a poll before I start. Actually, let me do it now. Take over for a second, Christine. I'm going to do a poll real quick on the chat.
A poll?
A poll, yeah, on what people think. So let me create that. So take over chat, or just take over the conversation for a minute.
For a long time, I really, really thought it could be Derek and his drug connections. I still, you could convince me. My only problem is my interactions, just from family members being tweakers and dealing with drug addicts, is they don't keep their mouth shut for very long. 7 years is a long time for someone to keep their mouth shut. There's a lot of information that could have been traded for this right now. So I that's why it leads me more to believe that it has something to do with CP, because that's a secret you take to the grave forever and ever. I don't know if that makes sense. I tend to think at the end of the day that there was a bunch of different crimes happening. Yeah, I think that there was a lot of stuff happening in Delphi. I think that there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of stuff that got uncovered in the Delphi investigation, whether it had anything to do with the murders or not, is the question of the day. And Derek has done well keeping his mouth shut. That's the one thing that has always bothered me, is Derek never took up for his daughter. Never once did he take up for his daughter. He sent his mom and his sister to take up for him. That's fucking crazy childish. I don't know. Maybe someone did take it to the grave, yeah. I mean, maybe. I'm just saying that drugs is, it just feels like someone would have flipped on someone already, especially when there's a kid involved. But yeah, Derek not. He makes banana bread for people at the trial. Yeah, I just don't know. The CP component is what makes sense to me. Is why it would be so. Is why it would be so hard to find so many tentacles. I mean, there's CP everywhere around this case, even in the Wolfpack. I've been going over Wolfpack stuff today. There's CP in the Wolfpack case. And John Chapman, like ex-Delphi police chief, what does he have to do with this? He seems pretty up in the mix as well. I don't know. It'd be interesting to know the whereabouts of John Chapman during all of this. The cousin of David Jones. Is she still there? I can't talk to myself.
I'm here. I'm working on a poll.
I was reading the chat. I'm trying to find something to talk about. I can't. Derek did snitch a lot. I don't know. I want to know exactly who. Do you mean Cody Patty? About Cody Patty what?
It only let. Who said
See
that?
what he said, what Four Pit said about Chapman? That's what I'm talking about. That shit's fucking everywhere around this case. Everywhere. I want to know. That's what I think it is. That's what I think it has something to do with, honestly. He's a youth pastor now? That's gross. Yeah. John Chapman, Brad Chapman. I want to know about them. They're pretty all up in some mixes. I always thought Derek could be a Fed and Westfall could be too, yeah. I think Westfall could be a Fed. For sure.
In the chat, it only lets you add 2 options. So for the Delphi murder, I put a theory we know or something else. Something else would be a scenario that we haven't heard of, a name we haven't heard of. Okay, let me ask you guys in chat this. Really quick too, by the way, we have 200 people watching. Please hit that like and subscribe. But have any of you in chat or locals ever heard of the Loopers? And I'm going to put it in the chat.
The Loopers?
The Loopers.
Why does that sound familiar?
Because you have to check your email.
Fuck, man, you're going to make me do work.
The Loopers.
Who are the Loopers?
Father,
Source
son.
Tree says they know. Not even I know. So I want to know.
Who says that?
Source Tree said I do. Loop is French for wolf. Oh, wait, what? Does that mean what I think it means? Oh, no.
The Loopers are someone that I've been digging into privately.
Mm-hmm.
It's a father and son.
Oh, did you send me that? What is that? The thing that you sent me? That
Yeah. Don't go into detail.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to see if anybody. Yeah, because I've reached out to like numerous people, and everyone that I've reached out to are like, "Who? What?" But there's a lot of info on that.
Is there?
Bell Mayhem. It's father and son with the Jeep. I don't know about a Jeep, but I do know about a motorcycle. Okay, let me read through these last couple of slides, and then we'll get back to the chat. So
it's NM7.
Huh?
Source Tree says NM7. I don't know what that means.
John Looper, yeah. Yes, NM7. Yes, Source Tree. Yes.
What does that mean?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back to the slides that we have here. They're talking about babies whose mothers have gotten in trouble, and Tina Rodell has apparently stepped up to raise those babies.
My poor brother was raised like that. I feel bad for him. I have a half brother, Jeremy, who's 15 months younger than me. And his father came to get him when we were in foster care and then just raised him as a little tweaker street kid. And I actually got to stay in foster care, which sucked. But my brother is a convict and has been since he was 17, and I'm not. So it goes to show how well those kids get raised like that.
Yeah, they all have issues.
The tweaker mother of the pack. I think she's doing something good. She should just let him go to foster care for real.
Well, I think in this case, Tina really tried. I think she really tried to be there for the kids. And and this is what gets me, because she says causing Reagan to, I think she means causing Reagan to be busted, and others, even my sis, I think. We'll get into that later because there is a name that goes with the Reagan. And the person responds, Dustin Prater. And then Tina responds, Derek Stold. Any from Dan Fosnot. Has a bad character as well. Dan Fosnot. Someone says, really? None of his Annie goes on his fields. And then go back up over here to the top. None of his Annie goes on his fields. So I did a little bit of a Google search on that statement. And the phase, no Annie goes on his fields, first of all, it has to do with amphetamines. It is, I actually linked it in the description of this video. There is a street drug dictionary that is available online. So I linked that in the description of this video. And Annie is considered an amphetamine if you call something an Annie on the street.
Dan killed Prater's mom. Did you see what Forpit said?
Annie goes on his fields means Annie goes in his fields, on his fields, which is a playful way of saying, don't tread on my turf or stay out of my domain. And then Tina, or this person who's responding with Tina says, he sells it to druggies instead. This may be all over soon. I am hoping Daniel's little false confession brings out the truth. Daniel too. Daniel Pearson?
So Forpit, so I have so Dustin Prater's mother. I don't know if you know who she is. Have you heard that story?
I have not. Prater's mom. I know that so Dustin Prater
was busted with Derek with the
was busted with Derek, and then Dustin Prater filed a lawsuit. Well, he challenged his conviction, and then he filed a lawsuit against, I believe, Derek German, and he won.
Yeah. His mother was killed very mysteriously. And there's a lot around how that happened. Forpits looks like he knows the story more than I do, but I've always heard of it. R&M's talked about it a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
So Tammy Birdsell, Tammy Birdsell is his mother, Tammy Prater. But I forget what happened. But it said that she killed herself, but it's pretty obvious she didn't. So I don't know, but I'm sure that has maybe something to do with it.
So that's what the conversation is here. And then they keep going further and talking about this all may be over soon. I am hoping Daniel's little false confession brings out the truth. I have heard that law enforcement is protecting Dale Babcock, Bubba, for some reason. Don't know why. I'm assuming, or we can all assume, that Dale Babcock, aka Bubba, is related to Michaela Babcock. 2014, I think when they got busted, I have the paperwork. Law enforcement is crooked. He spends more time in the strip clubs drinking and dancing and getting dances than anything. Rex Cook, undercover, narcotics agent, retired, Howard County, raped me, Celeste, Christine, and Shayna. Shayna ended up dead, found in a dumpster in Rushville. He put me in a dumpster as well. That's why I not drink. One shot of alcohol mixed with potassium ND Lortab. He was pouring Jack down my throat when trying to, it says wake. I don't know if that means rape, but it says wake. Law enforcement said, and who is going to believe you? Then I can't read that bottom portion. Then it is something shit he told Megan K and something. I don't know what that last little bubble, I don't know what it means. Don't trust him, dirty cop. Rex Cook is the one who told Meg. He was trying to kill you after he raped you. No, law enforcement told Meg. Rex, yes, and retired, moved to Tazewell, Tennessee. I was sure to let dancers have his pick. Local clubs, Tazewell girl, I finished my work. The girl KOKOMO who beat Guy down with a frying pan. Those are his buddies. I know why she did it. I called prosecutor on her defense. I feel guilty because if those bastards ate a bullet, they not hurt anyone. Okay, I sound retarded reading that.
But the education system is seriously suffering in this country.
You gotta read between the lines.
Jesus Christ.
Corpit says this is all the lost evidence. Well, I'm glad I could provide the lost evidence.
While reading this, just remember we're the richest country in the world with the best education available to us at our fingertips.
Well, I have to give credit to Deeds and Kathy and all the people who work behind the scenes, you Streets, that I consult every day about all this information. This takes hours.
This bitch calls me every morning. Every fucking morning.
This stuff takes hours to dissect, and I've seen most of it before, but when you sit down and you put it into a chronological order and context, and then you're going back through, my laptop right here is full of nothing but Delphi, Ashley Garth, and Garrett Kurtz. And then I forget how I categorize everything. That's why I now have a Dropbox, which I only have 4 people who have access to the Dropbox to upload stuff. And
like 3 of them know how to actually use it.
Yeah, because you do not.
I do not.
But all of this information cannot be lost. It just cannot be lost. It has to be accumulated into one place. And I find this so bizarre that all of these adult issues, the dealings, the drugs, law enforcement, the CSAM, the snitching, why did it really come down to the lives of 2 little girls? That's what makes me so angry about this. I just don't. all of this is worth looking at, but it's also so big. The whole story is so big.
I don't know if the girls died because of all of this, but I know that it's, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a story for sure. It reminds me of a movie. Like, no wonder those soap operas that our grandma used to watch were all about like small towns, dude. There's so much going on in a small town. You could have storylines for years, just like those soap operas did. I bet you that's just made off of real stuff.
Yeah, it is, and I just know. So there's been several cases that I have. I don't know. I probably should have came out and did what I'm doing right now a long time ago, but I didn't. Just out of fear. Well, first of all, I was too busy and didn't have the downtime like I do now. But my biggest fear is this. This case is a real, true mirrored image of the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey case. And I don't know if that's what attracted me to this case from the onset or what, but it's not the case. I mean, obviously the case is compelling. And in this particular case, the fact that you've got these two little girls who I pray to God are in heaven having the time of their lives. But the case itself, when I look at the Stephen Avery and the Brendan Dassey case, and AKA Making a Murderer, and the almighty Kathleen Zellner, who is the defense attorney on that case, who has limitless resources and limitless reaches in law to have experts and people of all different facets assist her in writing her motions and her post-conviction relief briefs. And she has compelling information, compelling details, compelling evidence that at least should require an evidentiary hearing for Stephen Avery. And she's being denied at every corner that she turns.
There's a lot of money involved in that case, though, isn't there? Like, if he gets out.
Well, here's the correlation between Stephen Avery and Richard Allen. Richard Allen is a newbie on the scene. He's a victim of circumstance, to where Stephen Avery initially was a victim of circumstance, a target, an easy target, someone who they thought nobody was going to come to his rescue and only could really afford a public defender. He was found guilty of a rape that he did not commit. And he was convicted and he served 18 years. When all along, pretty much from day one, the real rapist and perpetrator actually was under surveillance because he was a suspected racist or a suspected rapist. They knew who he was all along, but instead of putting in the work, instead of putting forth the efforts and the money and the time and the resources, they pinned it on Steve Avery. He served 18 years and DNA exonerated him. Well, when Stephen Avery was released after being exonerated, the Innocence Project picked up his case, and there were a lot of people involved in seeing to it that he got retribution for being convicted for 18 years falsely, wrongfully convicted, and then being exonerated with DNA. So he was weeks away from this case going forth and him being awarded hundreds of thousands of dollars for his wrongful conviction. And the issue at hand was the county, Manitowoc County itself, who perpetrated this crime against him. The insurance company for the law department came out and said, we are not going to represent you. You violated the legal agreements for the insurance that we provided. So all of you who are named individually in this lawsuit for perpetrating this false conviction against this man, you are all now going to be held individually responsible. So the county's insurance was not going to cover him. So all of them were going to be legally exposed as individuals in the court of law, and they were facing not only losing their livelihoods and their careers, but their homes, their pensions, their retirements, all of it. I think it was 3.5 weeks before this legal procedure was to take place that Teresa Halbach goes missing, never to be seen again, and Stephen Avery is accused of murdering her. And he has been held in prison ever since. And his nephew, who was 16 at the time, has been held in prison ever since as an accomplice. And both of their trials were held separately, and both of them at trial were accused of participating in the murder of Teresa Halbach under complete, separate, different circumstances. So you're talking about one murder committed 2 completely different ways, and 2 men are found guilty for a murder that happened 2 different ways, but yet they are both now spending a life sentence. In a small county where a small state is on the brink of being bankrupt because of bad behavior, this is what Rick Allen is up against. And I don't say that falsely. I don't say that to scare anybody. What I'm saying is that when you're looking at an entire state who can ultimately be held responsible for the actions of a small facet of people, you are up against a brick wall.
I think that's kind of what's going on in Delphi. You've got like a handful of men who have run amok with power for a long time, and this investigation it put their power into question, what they were doing with that power. And so everything got swept under the rug, everything.
Well, I mean, you're talking when you really, and I always go back to this case because it has been one of the most exposed corruption cases in this country because of organizations like Foul Play. Foul Play, founded by Dr. Silkman, who's going to be on this channel on Saturday. Those founding members who started that organization, who took it upon themselves to spend their own money, their own resources, their own investigations into this case, boots on the ground, going out there, measuring, taking photographs, interviewing, all of this stuff has been cohesively combined into one area, which is Foul Play, which is the supporting team behind Kathleen Zellner and Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. If it wasn't for them, the information that we have about this case would not be out there. And I'm talking right down to deals to where you've got Brendan Dassey, who is a teenager with a very low IQ to begin with, who is then given a public defender to represent him. That even this child at 16 with a very low IQ is calling his mom and saying, he doesn't believe me. He's not listening. He thinks I'm guilty. What does this mean? What does that, I mean, this child has no idea how to help himself, but he knows that he needs help, and his own mother doesn't know how to help him. And this public defender, after it's all said and done, we find out was promised the opportunity to run to be a judge in this county if he took Brendan Dassey's case and then would roll over and give the prosecution all of the discovery, all of the information from Brendan Dassey, so they could help make a slam dunk case, not only against Brendan, but against Stephen Avery. I mean, that's how deep the corruption can go. And no one wants to believe it. No one wants to think that our judicial system works that way. But it does. It really does.
It's insane to me the things that we're allowed to get away with in society against like the most vulnerable, the backs of the poor and the criminals. Like,
yeah. Well, I think what's happening right now is that in Carroll County, this started out as a very small facet of people that were involved in corruption. But they were involved in corruption by people way higher than them who they were trying to appease. And I will, until we hear otherwise, I know that there is, in this case, there is a drug outlet, and then there is the child trafficking outlet. And where those two things meet in the middle, I do not know. But that Dropbox that Keegan Kline had in his possession that he was controlling clearly disappeared off the face of the earth. It was discussed. It was put out there that was the biggest C-SPAM child pornography ring that the state of Indiana had ever seen. And for any of you out there who has ever worked in the capacity of a Dropbox, it is nothing more than a file folder. One big filing drawer cabinet that holds folders. And if you are selling folders out of a Dropbox, say topless 12-year-olds, the stomachs of 10 and under, butts of 15-year-olds, you can label these folders any way that you want and sell them individually to people who are interested in those types of things.
You can't convince me that Keegan and Tony Kline aren't part of this. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. It's just
no.
And like the shred of evidence is, they released the information attached to the Abby and Libby tip line, which they had not done up to that point with anything before. They searched the river search. They say nothing came up out of it, but then like 2 weeks later, they're arresting Richard Allen. Like, I don't know. Just I think Tony and Keegan Klein have a lot to do with this.
Here, let me see if I can do this really quick here, because people are asking. Let me see if I can do this. So think of a Dropbox like a filing cabinet. A lot of people who...
A banker's box?
Yeah, someone described it as a banker's box. Let me see here. I want to see if I can pull this up in a way that they understand. Okay.
One of the girls that's on my site right now, she's like a big superintendent. She's like really big up in the company. She used to be a Greencastle prison guard. And she's told me some stories. She told me a story about a guy. I don't know his name. I've tried Googling him. She doesn't remember his name either, but apparently they made a movie about him back in the day. He was at Newcastle, something about killing women. I don't know, but she said she was there when he was there, when they came out and got him, and he just like disappeared from the system. Yeah,
okay, so here, guys, this is what I'm sharing on my screen. And unless I click on them, you don't see what's in them. And this is kind of a small portion of a Dropbox. So over here on the left, you have all files, photos, shared, signatures, file requests, etc. But when you scroll down over here to the right, you're going to see, for example, I have a Tina Rodell file. I have the dentist file. All these files. Yeah. This is another case, the Bahari trial testimony, Carroll County mess, David Kallenberger, Delphi case filings, Flint Farmer, Garth document. Yeah, Indiana trip.
Coming up.
Yeah. So all of these files, Jason Palladino, Jasmine Parker, KOKOMO crew, all of these files that I have, whether they're paper files, videos, court documents, or whatever, you can file them any way that you want in a folder. You can have 10 things in a folder, you can have 100 things in a folder, and you can label it any way you want. And on that left-hand side where it says shared, I can open the shared button and click share, and I can share an individual folder. So, for example, if someone like a Keegan Klein wants to sell a folder for topless preteen girls that has over, say, 1,000 photographs in it, someone could go purchase a burner phone, meet with Keegan, pay him $500 for access to that file, and Keegan would share the link to that file. That's what I'm saying I think could have been possibly happening. These files were being sold and at different rates to different people, and Keegan could have been ensuring that they were all under burner phones.
Yeah. And then, you know, I heard some other people ask.
Evil Alaska, hold on real quick. Evil Alaska says, "What case by case? Will you meet me behind Walmart dumpster and sell me a paper bag full of your Dropbox?" Yeah.
It reminds me of the 90s. Pocket behind the 7-Eleven for a bag.
Yeah. Show up with the burner phone. Show up with the burner phone with the receipt that you just purchased the phone, and I will download the link to that Dropbox folder on your phone for you, and you give me $500. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but I don't know how else that Dropbox could have been used unless Keegan was sharing it online, link by link by link. And those links were being sent to a ISP lieutenant.
And that moved to Vegas, maybe?
An ISP director. I mean, who is linked to having access to that Dropbox that they're trying to protect?
Yeah. I think that might be one of the reasons why they haven't gone after Tony Klein, is because he probably knows. And there's, I've heard other creators say look into the second user. I've looked into their case, and there was a time I've talked to Aspen Connor, and he's personally, and I listened to the podcast that they had with Jerkay's mother, and maybe he is a possibility, but he's a decorated veteran. He is an accomplished photographer. I've never seen, there was a suspicion right around the time, I forgot when Richard Allen was arrested or something. He was released from jail in Clark County, but I don't know if I don't know what that had to do with anything, but I don't think it was Jerkay's. I think that Tony Klein and Keegan Klein, Tony Klein, I don't care how much anybody takes up for him, the man broke the orbital socket of a child. He shot a little girl with a BB. Like, he did this past the age of 25 when his brain was already fully developed. I think that he's a horrible person, and I think he's done horrible things in his life, and to put this past him is just naive and ignorant at best. At best.
Yeah. And I think that there's the strong possibility too that Keegan does have information, real. I'm not trying to discredit Reese. I think that the information that Reese passed on was information that he was given. But you got to understand, Reese's been in prison since 2014.
Yeah,
and
I don't think Reese's lying. I just think Reese's relaying the information he's been given, and he doesn't have the context points to be able to put it together in any reasonable or logical manner. He just has been given, like, dots of information have been pulled out of this ether and handed to him, and he doesn't know where they connect,
Right. And I think that for the most part, Keegan is very good at, he might have information, but at the same time, I think that he will put himself as being a player in a situation that he really wasn't even involved in. And that could be the case here.
Yeah.
I think that, let's just say, hypothetically, his dad or someone that he was selling links to this Dropbox to. And I'm going to tell you right now, as I go deeper into this Delphi Vault and go through more and more of these screenshots of the conversations that took place during that time frame, there's a couple of areas where I didn't know before, where Garrett Kurtz has a huge connection to a couple of these individuals in the KOKOMO crew that I have been trying to find for forever. And I've never once taken Garrett Kurtz off the POI list, but some of these text messages and screenshots that I have, I'm going, wow. And the same thing goes with Keegan Klein.
Yeah.
And you've got people involved in the KOKOMO crew who have information about Ron Logan's property or are hanging out at Ron Logan's property. We are now taking all of these threads and we are knitting a blanket.
I wonder if, I like wife Lilith at times, and other times she bothers me, but she tells a good story. And some of the things that she says really add up. And I know no one wants to believe Richard Allen is guilty, but I mean, there's possibility based on just geography alone. Tony Klein, Keegan Klein, and Richard Allen are into all this. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Don't yell at me. Do not kill me. Don't come for me.
I'm not coming for you. No, I'm not coming for you at all. No, that's why you're here, because we can, I always balance and disagreements and all of that is a good thing.
I mean,
And
it's in the back of my head. It's not what I mean, I don't think that Richard Allen could have something to do with it because of Nick McClelland's wonderful lawyering skills, but I also have heavily investigated him, and he's not as isolated as people say he is. So I don't know. There's still a possibility. I mean, I don't think if he did do it, I don't think he did it by himself. I don't think a 45-year-old man just woke up on a Monday morning, drank 3 beers, and decided to slaughter 2 girls in the woods. I don't think that's how that shit
especially
went
when
down.
he's a self-proclaimed alcoholic. 3 beers with a man is not going to make you go into some random psychosis of killing 2 little girls. For me, with Richard Allen, is that the prehistory and there being no pretense to him being a violent man.
Yeah.
Interested in children. All of that to me, I'm sorry. The only thing is his coming forward and saying, I was out there that day.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's so many things that point to it not being him, but it could be. I've never.
When you look at this case, when it comes to Richard Allen, there are literally complete hop, skips, and jumps being done to eliminate the facts coming out. When you've got Richard Allen coming forward to Dan Doolin, and then out of all of these recorded interviews that he does, this is the only one not recorded. Then he takes his written report back to the office and only copies one side of it and then shreds the rest of it.
Is standing on a stage where they are showing the video and nothing clicks in his head. Oh, that's the guy that I talked to.
I'm this.
And if he is that stupid, like you guys, I mean, maybe some remediation skills should be, remediation training should be done for him.
Well, and it all adds up to who and why do they want this case to go away? Why are we having Nick McClelland pretending to be a fucking magician, standing in a courtroom, pulling rabbits out of his ass and expecting you to see what's not there and lie to your face and backtrack to convict someone? If this man is guilty, it should be straight up and down. Let the defense put on their case and we will put on ours. There should not be any maneuvering, any bullshit along the way. And it's taken us 8 years to get here and it's still this shaky.
They had audio, video, and the dude lived with where from the crow flies less than a mile away. And it took him fucking 8 years to find, however long it took to find him. Like,
I don't think. I don't think that Rick Allen is the guy.
And then plus you've got Mullen with, Anna Dunham has a Facebook profile picture of her sitting on Downham's lap. She's connected to Jalen Rain, the angry hooker. Yeah, the angry escort. She's on Mullen's lap. She gets found with a bullet in her head, burned to death in the ex-sheriff's son's house. Because he was going around telling people he had information. And the guy who did it is just some rando from Wisconsin that's found with a bullet in his head in the next county over, right down the street from Keegan Klein's house. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
And I think That's
The
why.
McCurdy thing is
That's
weird.
why I
I've
want
always.
to. That's why I want to go over all of this because I am no expert on this case.
I want to pick four.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a nobody on this case. I just want to stay in my lane. I want to put on good factual information, and I want to allow everybody in my chat to have an opinion. I don't want to fight with other creators.
Yeah, no.
That's not what I'm here for. I am here because I'm a mother. I have 2 daughters. I understand what the wrongfully convicted is up against, and not enough people in this country are paying attention, nor do they, and I don't blame anyone. People don't have the time, the financial outlets to pursue, to support someone. I mean, if I could help 10 people who are wrongfully convicted, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But it's financially straining. It's impossible. It's time consuming. And a case like this, people who have the right reasons to be involved in this case, it boils down to these 2 little girls who were innocent. And their fate is just horrific. That's why I'm here. I want to help, and if the families don't feel like I'm helping, I'm sorry. If the families feel like I'm doing them harm, I'm sorry. I feel like I am here for the right reasons. I want to know that we got justice in this case. And if it's Rick Allen, so be it. But I don't believe that it is, and that's the problem. If I felt that it was Rick Allen, I wouldn't be spending 20, 30 hours a week of my own private time working on this and putting together things that I feel make sense, or putting things together that I could put out there to everybody that somebody else can take it and say, oh yeah, this thing here goes with this and this thing here goes with that. I just want to know that the right person is serving the time. And I don't believe it's Rick Allen, and that even makes this 10 times worse than the girls not getting justice.
I just think there's too much reasonable doubt. And no questions have been answered. We still don't know why those girls died. And there's so much reasonable doubt. Like, at the end of that case, when everything was rested and they were giving closing arguments during the jury deliberation, it was like nothing was proven. Nothing. How are they going to come up with a guilty verdict? That there's so much reasonable doubt.
Well, I'll say this. Kudos to the justice system. Kudos to the justice system, because when you sit a jury and you put a panel of 12 people in place who don't have insight to the case, and they take verbatim what is hand-fed to them in that courtroom, that's the way that it should be. And I feel that I can honestly say that in this trial, I feel that's what happened. They took what was hand-fed to them. The issue is starting at the gatekeeper's threshold, which was the judge, not acting as a true gatekeeper of the evidence and governing of the law, and making sure that both sides had an equal playing field to present their case. You cannot present a scenario before a jury that does not exist. And that's what happened in this case. What the jury heard was a storyline that truly did not exist. There were no barriers. There were no roadblocks. There was no counter argument. There were no third-party suspects. There was no evidence, no admissions from anyone else outside of the state's narrative that correlated over 8 years. It was a fabricated case that was put before the jury. I don't blame them. I don't have any ill will towards any member of the jury for deciding the case the way they did. They worked with what they had put in front of them, and they did a good job. And if there's any juror out there right now who feels like they are afraid to come forward and speak out, if they feel like after serving on the jury and this case ending the way that it did, and now they've paid attention to this case because prior to, they had no idea. If they want an open platform to speak on, this is the place. I will give you that platform. Reach out to me. I will make sure that you're not bombarded by naysayers or anyone else. I will give you free rein to speak and give your opinion to us on where you started, how the case was presented to you in real time, and now where you see yourself after the fact in convicting a man that you either firmly believe is guilty or now you have serious doubts that the decision that you made was the correct one. I will give you that platform. So, is that too deep? Streets, maybe she had to go. I think that I think we have a
DWP is here.
Huh?
LADWP is here. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Mute your mic. I'm not going to sit here and comment on which juror did what, simply because I wasn't in the courtroom. We should have had access to this trial. I am just, like so many of you, very frustrated. I live a normal life, like I'm sure all of you do. And there's something about cases like this that I cannot let go. I take it to work with me. I take it to bed with me. And I have no power to solve it. I have no influence to have a say. I really just look at it from a woman and a mother standpoint that I have let my daughters go out for an evening or go out for a day. Even in 2017, I had a daughter who graduated college in 2014, who I took clear across the country and left at a college and had to rely on my upbringing to guide her and phone calls daily to mom to keep her safe, to keep her focused on the task at hand. And cases like this, I look back and I go, my God, if my daughter, who was clear across the country at college in a dorm, had been brutally murdered, would I be blamed for taking her there and dropping her off? Would I be blamed for being so far away and not having the power to put my hands on her within arm's reach? I mean, there's so many things that go through my mind. And I look at Abby and Libby, and they were literally in their own backyard. These trails were in their own backyard. I've been there. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. And what transpired there has forever tarnished that area. And
it's going to be generations before it goes away.
And but you know what? It's a double-edged sword because I feel like some aspects of this case has divided the community and other aspects of this case has brought it together. I feel like there's a whole unity of people there who, regardless whether they know what happened or not, they embrace the beautiful image that Delphi has, and it is. I don't care what anybody says. No one will ever convince me otherwise. Delphi, the area itself, is a beautiful place. And this kind of a crime should have never taken place there. And these two families, well, I'm going to say these two moms.
The moms.
The two moms. Abby and Libby's moms. My heart goes out to.
I've always felt a special connection to Anna. I was, when my girls were younger at that age, I was a bartender by myself, raising my girls by myself. And I can't even imagine being so busy and going through everything that you do. I think about like our nightly routines and the whirlwind to get their laundry done for school the next day. And like while I'm trying to like get out of the house to go to my night shift and just like trying to put that all together in your head, like just get told that your daughter was dead and no one knows why or how or anything, like just trying to put everything together, it just the panic. And she doesn't have another daughter. Like Becky's got generations of children around her. Anna's this is it. That was it for her.
Criminal network. I respect your opinion, and I don't know what interactions that you've had with Anna. You say Carrie is a sweetheart. Anna is a nice person. Anna is a very nice person, and I've met her. Anna is a broken person.
How would you feel?
I have to give Anna all the condolences and all of the credit that one mother could give to another in the situation that she's in, because the answers are still unknown. And Anna could be out here pointing the finger, raising hell, and Anna is trying to do the right thing. She is trying to let the law work. She's trying to embrace the memory of her daughter. She's trying to embrace the family of her daughter's best friend who also lost her life. I cannot and will not ever ridicule Anna in any of her behavior or any of her responses to any of this, because I've lost a sister and I know how heartbreaking that is. I have never lost a child. So to speak on her behalf, I can't, but I have met her and I have watched her be a part of a situation that she was uncomfortable in, and she made the absolute most best of the situation. I'm not going to go into detail with that, but I have a lot of respect for Anna. And she's been put in a situation that I feel like no one has a handbook for her on how to act. And I feel that Anna, she might come across abrasive. She might come across aggressive at times. I think it's because her heart is broke and she doesn't know how to handle it. And people expect her to be strong enough to step up and attack the situation. And maybe she's just not built that way. So I will never ridicule
Think about
her.
how angry she must be. Like she didn't give her daughter permission to go to that bridge. Like all of her rules are being broken. And then think about the possibility, if the rumor is true, that Becky bought her a phone even though she wasn't allowed to have one. If Becky bought her a phone because she wasn't allowed to have one, and this murder is a direct result of whatever Keegan Kline was doing on that phone, can you imagine how angry you would be at Becky Patty? Can you imagine how angry you'd be at everyone? They're building ball fields and pouring in the money, and she's like just a single
Well, you
mom
gotta
living with her
understand,
parents.
Anna could have insisted on hiring a PI, but do you understand that just because just because she lost her daughter doesn't mean that she's automatically blessed with a wealth of money.
Yeah, no.
You know, she's still living a normal life. And
she's got to pay bills, she's got to feed herself, clothe herself. And I mean, look at what happened. She gets a DUI and people are doing emergency lives on New Year's Eve to report on it. Fuck all y'all. Sorry.
No, I mean it is what it is. And you know, she has you know, it's a sad situation. It really is. And I will defend Anna until she gives me a reason not to. And in this situation where we are today, we don't have the answers that we need. And I feel that Anna has maintained an even balance in her life. And I'm hopeful that if the tide turns and the scales tip to where Anna believes that I think if something is put in front of Anna, that's something nefarious with factual information is put in front of her, I hope that she would act on it. If she doesn't, I'm still not going to blame her. The woman has gone through an ordeal that I don't think any of us can ever claim to experience.
I would be in a padded cell. If this happened to my daughter, I would be a padded cell. If I was Anna Williams and I saw the circus going on in front of the courthouse that was going on during that trial, I would have Daryl Brooks that sidewalk. Like, I can't imagine the pain she's going through. If I would be in a padded cell just banging my head against a wall if I were Anna Williams. So I have every respect in the world for her.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, when I took my daughter, my oldest, across the country and dropped her off at college, coming home, I literally felt like there was a death in the family. I mean, my heart broke so badly. I literally cried 18 hours on the way home for no reason. I mean, she was going off to start her life, all of the things that we had planned for her. But I remember distinctively pulling up in the driveway when we got home. And because we took two cars because she had to have her car at college. So we took two cars and we jumped back and forth between the two cars and then we drove back. But once we left and we came home, her car was no longer in the driveway. I literally thought my life was over for like weeks. It was devastating to me. I can't imagine going through something like that. And I look at how I felt as being so petty, like my daughter would call, like, Mom, God, why are you crying? God, get over it, you know? But that separation, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that type of feeling.
I would feel like you had sucked the soul from my body, and I would never be able to feel another feeling or emotion again. Like, that would be it. Like, I would just be numb to the world. Like I said, sitting in a padded cell, banging my head against a wall. Like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, it is 4:26. I promised myself I would be off here by 4:30. Mondays are my day off. I'm going to try to start doing these lives on Mondays. Spending the day with all of you guys, but I do have to get off here and cook dinner. And tomorrow is back to work for me. So
I gotta be at another site next week. So the rest of this week is going to be crazy. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to participate next Mondays because I'm reporting to the new site and setting up the clinic. So
that's okay. Well, we'll have. I might do one Saturday early, but Saturday night we're going to be on with Dr. Silkman, and possibly, let me check my text messages to see.
Hey, yeah, what is that? If Kathy Shank donated, how much was the reward money? Like 275,000 or something?
I don't remember.
So if Kathy Shank donated the reward money to Abby and Libby Park, why did they still need $60,000 for an electric sign? Like, the math ain't mathin' on that. Like, where did the $275,000 go?
Well, I
That should come from the reward, and it should be like the Kathy Shank sign. Like, I don't know. She solved the case, didn't she? Fuck. So crazy.
Nobody, nothing. He said, what did Anna get for her last DUI? I'm guessing she walked. That's what most people do, besides a suspended license. It's none of anyone's
damn business what happened to her.
Besides a suspended license and fees and fines, I'm sure she got to walk away, but I'm sure she had to pay a lot of money. Yeah, I don't know where the money came from for the electric sign, if it came from the
a private donation of like 60,000 or something like that. But like, didn't they just get $200 and something from Kathy Shank as the reward money? So shouldn't they use that to build the sign and make it like the Kathy Shank sign? Wouldn't that be like make more sense? I don't know. It just feels like, a laundromat at this point.
Yeah. For those of you asking for my email, I just posted it. Misbehave. There it is. casebykcase10@gmail.com. So, all right, guys, we will see you later this week. Look for that thumbnail and the upcoming video for Saturday to be posted here in the next 24 hours or so. Thanks, you guys, for all being here. Thank you, mods. Thank you, Streets.
Thank you, guys.
Cherie couldn't be here today because she is at work at the law firm.
She has a real job.
She has a real big girl job.
I have a job, but, I'm on standby.
Yeah. All right, guys. Love you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.